So that looks like a drawing sheet. But you have to wonder now that how do I bring the drawings that I have drawn in this model space? Suppose, let me draw something over here. I'll change to object. I'll make a simple rectangle. Like this. It's an arbitrary drawing. Do that. Change it. Center. I'll put a dimension as well. Something like this. So this is my drawing object. And on the layout, I have the margin and all the associated information. So there is simply no way of getting the two together. It is in a different tab. This is also in a different tab. So what do we do? There must be something that we can do so that this drawing that I have made here can be represented within this margin that I have created. And that is done through something called a viewport. What is a viewport? Viewport is basically a window to the model space. A window which is created in the paper space but lets you access and display whatever is present in the model space. So the concept is basically I will create a window over here that would let me look at the model space and this drawn object which is present in the model space. So how do we do that? We'll again go to layout. Remember the page setup button? Just beyond that panel, you have the layout viewports. In this layout viewports, you can create different sort of viewports such as rectangular viewports, polygonal viewports, or you can designate an object as a viewport. So I'll select a rectangular viewport. Now you have to show its position by drawing the rectangle over here. I'll click over here, and now you can see that through this window, you can see the object over there. That is the same model space object that we have created.
Sir, can you show this thing once again, sir?
Yes, I will do that. Okay. Let me just delete it once again. I'll select and delete. By the way, we need to change it to, we do not have a viewport layer. Let me just create a viewport layer as well. I think that's okay. Let's designate it as the present layer, current layer, and then go to layout. This is the layout viewports, and you can create a rectangular viewport from here. So again, I will show you. Go to layouts, layout tab, viewports panel, rectangular. In this space, now you create the viewport. So that is how you can do that. Now this is the same object. Okay. So suppose I want to access this object from the paper space. So what can I do? I'll just simply double click inside that viewport. You can now see that the boundary of the viewport has become darkened. It is thickened. That means the viewport is now active. So here, if I now draw a line, let's say arbitrarily I've joined these two midpoints. The same thing would have happened here. The same line has appeared over here. So it means that it is not a copy of that previous viewport. It is, in fact, the same viewport which, the same model space which is present here. If I do something over here, maybe make this circle. If I go to the layout, you will see the same circle over here. Okay. If I scroll here, obviously, there would be zoom in and out also. So you have the same model space that can be accessed. If I delete something, so if I delete this line over here, that would be reflected here. So the point I'm trying to make is that it is the same model space that you can see over here, which is accessed through the viewports. If I create another viewport, let's say another rectangular viewport, I will create side by side. You will see the same object. It's like you are sitting in a room and you have opened two windows, and through those two windows, you can see the same tree outside. So that's how it works. It has the advantage of maybe showing this object in two different scales. Suppose I want to show this uh, as a 1:1 scale. So I'll go to standard scale. Instead of putting custom, it's 1:1. So this is the 1:1 object. Now in the second viewport, go to properties again. There is the scale. Here, let me increase it to maybe 2:1. Has it changed? No, it has not changed. Let me do it again. Custom. Here is 2:1. So now I can probably, if I want to, and position it somehow. Okay. I can zoom in on that circular part. So you can show a 1:1 object, a component, and you can also zoom in and show a detailed view of the same object in the same space. You do not have to create a separate drawing. The single drawing, that is sufficient. And here you can use different viewports to show different detailed views of the object. So that is how you can use the viewports to show multiple sides of the object or multiple details of the object. Viewports can also be deleted quite easily. You can just simply select this and delete it. Is that clear?
Sir, if
Yes,
there are more than one object, sir, in the model space.
Uh,
Yes, sir, I was about to ask that. I
yeah.
have the same doubt.
Let's say you have more than one object. Think of the problem sheet that I have given. There are, say, in the problem sheet, there are 5 objects that you have drawn in the model space. Let's say some other object, which would be somewhere around here. Arbitrarily, I have created again. So this is another object that is present over there. By the way, these should be in object layer. Always keep in mind the layers. So these are two objects now. So let us go to the layout. For now, I'll delete this and go to layout, go to rectangular. Now you can see that both the objects show up here. Now you have to decide which one you want to show. Obviously, in a single sheet, you can show obviously two objects, but it is better that if you keep it to one. If you want to show a single component, then obviously you double click inside it. The viewport becomes active. Then you can either zoom in like this and use the pan command, position the object like this, and show one of the objects. But while zooming, you should be careful about the scale of the drawing. I'll just click outside, double click outside to inactivate, deactivate this, go to properties and check the scale. It is custom. So instead of custom, I'll make it 1:1. So always use standard scale. So in 1:1 scale, I'm able to show this object over here. There is another object, granted, but for now the objective is to show this object. You can also show the other object. Go to pan again, position it in such a way that now this object is centered in this viewport. So that is how you can show them. If you want to show multiple objects, then create two viewports and manipulate them in such a manner using the pan command and the proper scale that in each viewport only one of the object is being shown. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Another thing that I would like to highlight here is that you can still draw in paper space. Suppose I have already drawn these two circles. I will go to object layer and I'll add another line over here. Now this line is drawn in paper space because notice here that this is paper. That means I've drawn this line in paper space. What do you expect will happen when I move to model space? Would this line show up or not? In model space, that line would not be there because it is not created in the model space. It is created in the paper space. That's why this is present here.
If I double click and then create,
If
then
I
it will,
activate the viewport, now I would be able to select this circle, but I would not be able to select this line anyway. However might I try, that line would not be selected because it is in a separate space. It is in paper space, and right now I am in model space. If I draw a line over here, that would be visible in model space. You can see the horizontal line is present. The vertical line is in paper space and hence not visible in the model space, in the model tab. This line I can select. This line I would not be able to select. Deactivate the viewport. Now I'll be able to select this line. But now these circles and the horizontal line I would not be able to select. I can do all this I want, but that would not be selected. Those objects, drawing objects, are in model space. They cannot be selected from the paper space. So that is the difference. But did you notice one thing? That the OSNAP still worked. I'm in paper space. The two circles and the horizontal line are in model space as shown here, right? But if I try to draw another circle, concentric circle over here, O snap is on, I'll still be able to snap onto the center of the already drawn circles. Although they are in model space, I can still use O snap and access these points. That is possible. So I can create this. But this is in paper space. Sometimes it is a good idea to provide dimensions in the paper space. Let me just go back to model space, select the dimension layer, and show the diameter of this. So that is an arbitrary circle whose diameter I have shown here. As expected, that would be showing up here as well. For now, I'll remove this circle. But the dimensioning could also be done in paper space. So here you have the same dimension, diameter of 35.18. But one dimension would be accessible from the paper space, one would be accessible from the model space. However, if I activate the viewport, that means I have switched over to model space now. And if I do this, you will see something happen. What's happening? Only one of the dimensions is actually associated with the circle. It moves with the circle. But the dimension I had provided in the paper space, that obviously does not move with it. So it creates a problem. So if you do dimensioning in paper space, you have to be careful about that. It might create certain problems for you. So I'll delete it for now. Also delete the vertical line. So I hope the concept of paper space and model space is clear to you. In the next class, we will talk about in a lot of detail how you can create templates, margins, and title blocks. So that is how you are going to be setting up your drawing. So that is as far as the topics of discussion goes for today's class. I'll see you again probably next week.